100%.
Fairfield.
As we are now one full week into December, Siena basketball is now getting set for MAAC play as well as their second month of competition. We're going to start this one off with the women. They had the first game of the week and of the month. December 1st, the women hosted the UMass Minute Women on campus at the UHY Center. The women, which were shorthanded, only had 6 healthy players active. Teresa Sapala, Anaya Hooker, Anijah Jackson, KB Hadley, Zariah Price, and Anna Conde were the only players available. The rest were out due to injuries, as well as Esther Turi, who was recently sidelined due to a concussion. However, Terry Primm is no stranger to playing shorthanded before. He did that when the Saints were at Fairfield back in February of 2023. With only 6 players available and 1 fouling out, the Saints managed to pull off a win, 55-51. The question is, could he do that again? Yes. The Saints beat UMass 57-53, thanks to a strong second half for the Saints. And again, I should mention that only 6 players. I guess Terry Primm should play shorthanded more. Our player spotlight, Teresa Sapala. She had a season-best 21 points, as well as a career high for Anaya Hooker. However, Teresa Sapala played all 40 minutes, totaling 8 rebounds, and also a career high with 4 steals. It was also the 5th time Anijah Jackson had gotten double figures. Matching Sapala on the UMass side was Megan Olbrist, who had 21, as well as Yamani McHale, who had 13 to tie up with Anaya Hooker. There were some insane droughts during the game where the Saints were scoreless for the first 4 minutes and 30 seconds of the fourth quarter, and during the third quarter, UMass also was cold. The Saints also scored 22 points in the third quarter, which was more than they scored in the entire first half alone, and a low-scoring game that was for both teams anyway. And you know what? Terry Primm, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how your players do it either. It must be exhausting playing 40 minutes. However, when you come off of a Thanksgiving break well-rested and with a win under your belt, I think there's a lot of stakes that are high. This is a good thing to have, as the women will be hosting the next games throughout the month of December, and another one on the show we'll be talking about in a few minutes with UAlbany. And when times are tough, they show their toughness. They don't sit there and accept defeat. The only defeat that they can accept is if they had to forfeit the season, because they're just so shorthanded right now. And you know what? This might even be better when the players do come back. You'll have a team that is just bet on scoring. And that's an important stake to have as MAAC play arrives. Despite the win, however, Terry Primm still hosted a training camp on campus on Wednesday, December 4th. He encouraged students at Siena to try out for the team in the case that some injured players would need some replacement.
The Saints are going to lift up the Albany Cup. Terry Primm, in his first season as head coach, wins the trophy back for the Saints. Jackson spinning, tosses one up off the square and in. Whoa! I see you, baby. Price up ahead and lays it in. Zariah Price with the steal and score. The Saints have their largest lead of the game. More in the shot clock. Jackson's going to have to put it up. She's the one you want shooting from that distance. Oh my! Sapala for 3. Teresa Sapala!
Well, the Siena women played UAlbany at Siena College, and joining me for the recap is Aiden Burns, who did the game with me.
I know, I was working the game. We kind of went into the game not thinking it was going to be great, but hey, it worked out, so let's just talk about it a little bit. Why not?
Yeah, so the score is on the screen right now, and the women pulled off the unthinkable. It was David versus Goliath. This was an interesting-sized Goliath. It only had 6 players, although Anijah Brown came back. That is our first takeaway of the game.
I would say it's kind of crazy, too, because UAlbany, who was 7-0 coming into this game, top favorite. I think they've been in the WNIT for the last 2 years, if I'm correct.
And the NCAA
tournament. And, you know, they beat Syracuse earlier this year at Syracuse. And that was a big win. I think they had like an overtime buzzer beater win. So they've been really good this year. But our team just came in strong and played amazing. It felt like they had control. You know, even in the beginning, they were having some struggles with the offense. They had control of the game. And also, you did it in front of a huge crowd at UHY Center. It felt like one of the most excited women games we've had at UHY.
I know, and one of the best plays of the game was when Anijah Jackson just shot right from the line. Boom, deep 3 right there.
But the Saints never gave in. Fourth quarter, shot clock winding down. Jackson from way downtown. It goes! 3 of the Waterville Elite natives, 23 points. It's a 5-point game, under a minute.
I actually filmed that part, so I got one of those shots for that. That was pretty cool. But Kind of honestly felt like a Kagan Clark shot out there. That's, I didn't think that was going in. It did, so that was an amazing shot. Yeah, as much as UAlbany lost, I think they're still going to be a really good team. I'm definitely going to have to go to one of those two at Broadview Center and check them out, because I still think they're going to be a really strong team. Again, we probably won't see them again, but I think even going into the future with next year at Broadview Center for this game, it's going to be another huge game next year for them.
Yeah, and the Saints winning against UAlbany, literally 5 years to the day they last won against UAlbany, December 7th, 2019.
And we were interviewing Jackson. She kind of said that, like, I've been here this long and we haven't had this kind of happen before. She's been here for a while, so it's really exciting for this team, especially a team that's been dealing with injuries and losing their first couple games. I think they're really exciting. It's great.
One final takeaway I wanted to mention from the Albany Cup was this was a rematch for the Saints against Jessica Tomasetti, who played at Mount St. Mary's before transferring to UAlbany to play her graduate year. Over at Mount St. Mary's, Jessica Tomasetti averaged 35 minutes, averaging 14 points, 4 rebounds, and as for the threes, 32% from the field. Tomasetti was also second-team All-MAAC in 2024, and is also the 30th member of the conference's 1,000-point club. It's amazing how the world of college basketball works. One day the team is hot, the next they're not. And you know what? It's the same way right now with tons of the other nationally ranked teams. I'm looking over at UConn right now. They had a losing streak of 3 games, including a bad loss to Dayton during the week of Thanksgiving, but then they managed to pull a gritty win over the Baylor Bears. And you know what? As for Siena, I'm looking at MAAC play right now and seeing how close all the games are, and I'm excited to see when the next blowout's going to be. I want another Iona Sacred Heart game, and maybe Siena will be the one committing the blowout. I honestly can't see Gerry McNamara getting blown out just because of him being that famous, but I'm sure what I just said right now is going to age itself very quickly. We have until January to figure that out, but until then, Siena's still got some non-conference action coming up that they can enjoy as we head into the middle of December. And as for MAAC play, with the Iona Gales being the way they are, the Gold Rush is going to have to be altered. Why, Siena, are you playing against St. Peter's for the Gold Rush? It makes no sense. They're not even gold. They're blue. Should we call it the Blue Rush? All right, on to the men now. And if your name is Brendan Coyle, then you have an excellent chance at passing your finals. Brendan Coyle is ending the semester with a 3.68 cumulative GPA. He is a major in finance over at Siena College. He's been a MAAC all-academic team and academic honor rolled in each year of eligibility. And in 3-point percentage, he is 35th nationally. Well, again, Siena has not had any awards last season, so this is great to see. And the stakes were high for Coyle as they headed into MAAC play. The Siena starting off the MAAC play season with the Western New York trip, only the 3rd time in program history they have done so. The Saints also played Niagara at their college last year at a game that was delayed due to snow. But the delayed game did not stop the Saints from pulling off one of their only wins of the season when they beat them 93-88 in a game that was mostly decided by high-scoring 2-pointers. The Saints were looking to sweep Western New York, which they've only done once in the past decade. That was in 2016. Did they do it?
0.7 seconds left. Siena gets to the line, but Brendan Coyle misses both. And Niagara snatches this away from Siena, winning 69-68.
Oh, Jesus!
Yeah, this one was a nail-biter. Either team could have won this game, and that was something you just kind of expected from the MAAC. Coyle even said it during the opening press conference about MAAC play.
There's not a lot of room for error in MAAC play. A lot of the MAAC games are decided by a few possessions. So taking care of the ball is important and, focus on the details because every possession matters in conference play.
Again, he wasn't lying. The Saints and Purple Eagles traded leads. The Saints had their largest lead at 5 thanks to some threes shot by none other than Major Freeman. But our player spotlight's going over to Miles Wilmoth, who had a career-high 16 points and played at 3 different schools so far, Siena included. And he never got anywhere near the amount of points he scored against Niagara when he had a pair of threes and a dunk.
Now, the Saints were down by 5 midway through the first half, but Miles Wilmoth, coming off the bench, knocks down 2 3-pointers. Then Wilmoth gets the pass from Justice Schultz for the slam to tie the game at 18.
Peter Carey's still dealing with his ankle injury that he had while he was at Syracuse, and he wasn't feeling his optimal best when he started against Niagara, and it's looking like if this continues, maybe Wilmoth will get the starting spot. but I am very proud of Wilmoth, and I actually saw him in the student lounge the day before they left for Buffalo, and I gave him a fist bump and told him to stay warm out there, and who knows, maybe my good luck was an omen for him. For the Saints, thankfully, they had a season low of 6 turnovers as well as a season high of 18 assists. There was also an appearance from the 2-3 zone, which made Jim Boeheim famous. Basically 2 players on one side, and on the other side they had the 3 players towards the net, with the center standing in the middle and the forwards on the side. But ultimately, at the end of the game, what decided the win was when Jaden Marshall went to the free throw line, shot one that went in, missed the other one, and then our free throw machine, Brendan Coyle, got up to the line and unfortunately did not make either basket. At the end of the game, Coyle threw the ball to the ground. Of course, it wasn't going to go into the net because that's just how it works, but the Saints losing at the Gallagher Center in Lewiston, New York for the first time since March 3rd, 2022. Despite not being a big game for Justice Schultz, he still scored 1,000 points. Justice Schultz played at Lock Haven before transferring to Siena, so adding all those points together, he is now on the leaderboards. Good on him. Again, it was a close game. They could have won either way, and I'm still very proud of them for the effort. I also wanted to bring up a little bit about Greg Paulus, the Niagara basketball coach who's had a history with Gerry McNamara. They played at rival schools. Paulus is a Syracuse native. He had been recruited by Syracuse, but he chose Duke, where he played for Mike Krzyzewski. Paulus eventually returned to Syracuse to play his graduate year on the football team. While at Duke, he brought them over to the Sweet 16 twice, as well as the round of 32. Unfortunately, the Orange did not go to any playoffs or bowl games that year, but he did overlap with Gerry McNamara over at Syracuse that year, as it was McNamara's first season as an assistant coach on the basketball team. Eventually, Niagara played Syracuse in 2019 and 2023 when Paulus was the coach. The Purple Eagles lost both times. McNamara was at Syracuse as the assistant coach, obviously. He also was responsible for ending the Siena basketball season twice in 2 years. The Saints played the Purple Eagles last year in a close contest that was arguably their best game of the season, as well as a game that they ended up snubbing in 2023. I plan to do profiles on the MAAC coaches for each episode as we talk about MAAC play now. I also will be talking about the players of the week since we are entering conference play and the stakes are getting higher. And in addition to that, I think it's really cool hearing about the relationships Gerry McNamara's had being a prolific basketball face. It wasn't just the beginning of MAAC competition for the Saints, it was also the beginning of MAAC competition for the MAAC in general. It all began on December 4th when Fairfield welcomed Rider. That game ended in a close contest with Rider losing to Fairfield 75-78. Rider then played Quinnipiac and lost 67-72, so Rider is now 0-2 in MAAC play. Manhattan getting a win against St. Peter's, close one, 70-67. Meanwhile, the Peacocks went to Duquesne and beat them by 3 points in a neck-and-neck contest. Canisius, still winless. They lost to Merrimack College, 52-60, Merrimack making the Western New York trip as well. Fairfield playing against Fairleigh Dickinson, getting a win over them, 78-74. And Quinnipiac, in addition to Rider, played Stonehill, beating them 88-74. Marist played Mount St. Mary's and beat them 53-50 in a low-scoring and tight game. Niagara, before they welcomed Siena, played Long Island and beat them 60-52. Iona concluding their tournament that they played during Thanksgiving week when they were in the Nassau Championship. They lost to Rice, 66-70. And then they played against Sacred Heart and lost badly to them, 59-83. And before Sacred Heart played Iona, they played the Terriers of Boston University, beating them 73-65. So a lot of close games to start off MAAC play, and I'm hoping that this is the way it is going forward, because if so, you could have any team qualify for March Madness. And the stakes, again, are very high for the MAAC now, because only the top 10 teams make it. So every team's going to try to polish themselves up so they can go to the dance later. But the women are not dancing in MAAC play just yet. They still have some more non-conference action to get through. Speaking of Boston University, the Boston women played against Rider, and they beat them 64-59. Rider also lost to Monmouth 36-52. Manhattan played the Vermont women and lost 57-74. St. Peter's playing a contest with NJIT and getting their first win in the season, 65-60. Here's a strange one for you. Canisius welcomed a Big Ten team over to their school. The Illinois Fighting Illini went over to Canisius and played them at the Kessler Athletic Center. but they lost anyway, 55-68. Canisius also played Akron and lost badly to them, 43-82. Fairfield played a D3 school, the College of Staten Island. They beat them soundly, 94-47. Quinnipiac finishing up the Miami Thanksgiving Tournament Championship on Sunday, December 1st. They were handed their very first loss of the season in overtime to the Hurricanes, 74-83. It's looking like Quinnipiac might be another contender for Siena to watch out for. The Marist women played against North Dakota. They beat them 60-56, and then they played the Bryant women and also got a victory over them, 63-52. Merrimack played the University of South Florida, lost 43-62. Mount St. Mary's playing the Maryland women, losing badly 52-87. But they did pull a win in the Catholic clash against Loyola, Maryland, 65-48. Niagara playing against Division II Bloomsburg, 81-60, beating them, of course. And then they played the Kent State Golden Flashes and lost 73-89. Iona welcoming a Florida school, the Stetson Lady Hatters. They beat them 58-46. And for our final game, Sacred Heart beating Morgan State 79-57. The only game we'll be talking about is the Canisius game. The Griffins lost their opener against Merrimack. They are now 0-9, so this should be a doable matchup for the Saints. Honestly, if they lose this game, I'd be a bit more disappointed. All right, to close this out, big shout out to Siena basketball commentator Connor Fenlon for surviving the impossible. A train accident, an Amtrak collision, happened en route to Buffalo. Connor was on the train heading to the Niagara game. He was not on the air for most of the game, but he did get to the last seconds of the game. But he was also available for the Canisius game. Fenlon played for the Saints, including the famous Frey McCaffrey team that went to March Madness. And he also was a walk-on. If you want to hear Connor Fenlon, listen to the Saints on Jams 96.3. You can also listen online. And don't forget to listen to the women on 88.3 The Saint.
Trophy is in the locker room and going in Coach Primm's office.
We'll share it over the next 2 weeks. We'll just keep moving it around.